this country. And we, the descendants of slaves in America, have earned reparations for their suffering and continue to...
We, the descendants, had no part to play in that whatsoever. We deserve reparations because our ancestors were treated. Does that mean everybody's then? Because, like, I mean, this... We can do an episode of where the word slave comes from. It's not Africa.
Let's talk about facts.
If you want to have intellectual discussions.
Spiritually oriented, very beautiful fun.
Who you are beyond the personality.
I'm a human being, same as you.
Be who you are.
But to answer your question,
What is really going on? And let's get into this.
And what is happening in Wirgo? What is? And welcome to the wonderful world of Wirgo, the place where we get asked, what is really going on? Now, before we get into the episode, if you could do us a favour, guys, you can smash that like, share and subscribe, you know, all that stuff you got to know, notifications, whatever it is. But more importantly, if you can make a comment on the stuff I'm talking about, that would be great. This is a learning channel. It's about me learning. And we're definitely going to learn some stuff today, I think. So this is going to be a Micheal Knowles show review. And he's recently... Now, Micheal Knowles is part of the Daily Wire, and I really enjoy his content. He does have a little bit of a... how do I say it? He has a little satire about him, you know. He does a little comedy, mocking stupidity, and he's a bit more... I don't know, a bit more childish along the bullying sense in his comedy. But it's just a character. I have seen many snippets and clips of him live. He does his Q&As and talks and things when he goes to campuses, and he's absolutely a gentleman, and he does like to critically talk about things. Now, the only place I see him not using his critical mind is when he talks about his religion, which is he classes himself as a Christian, I believe, which I suppose if you're going to classify my religion, it would be Christianity, but I'm more of a Gnostic, and he's one of the more modern ones. But he has a Jew perception, not Jewish. Jewish people of faith, dualistic. He has a dualistic perception. He doesn't have the perception of the Trinity. So the way he sees his religion, to me, is very, very strange. I'd love to have a chat with him about it, but... people like Michael will never talk to me about their religion. Never, ever, ever. Because I will put their critical thinking in play, and they will not like that. Especially when I kind of believe in the same things as them, but the way I see it, the perception I look at it at, makes it all make sense and makes it, you know, just reasonable. Whereas the way they do it doesn't seem reasonable at all to me. But it's not about that. Today we're talking about Disney. You know, the old go woke, go broke type thing, but... Disney are doing something along the lines of, I think we're going to see here about like spreading some sort of propaganda, you know, like Nazi stuff, about slavery and things like that. Michael's going to give his take on it. Now remember, these are not my thoughts. I will give my thoughts honest as they are in shop. So let's hear what Michael's got to say, and we'll talk about it then, is it? So let's go.
This, I can't leave before playing this. Sweet little Elisa sent this to me yesterday. She goes, Mag, you gotta see this. I said, oh, I don't know. I finished writing my show, the points I want to talk about tomorrow. You know, we all have to talk about that dumb balloon. She goes, no, Mag, you gotta see this. This is a new Disney show. It's actually a reboot of an old Disney show, which I had. The
balloon, for those who are going, what balloon are you talking about? In America, there's this Chinese spy balloon, they call it. I don't know what it actually is. There's lots of different stories going on about what it is, but some Chinese spy balloon they haven't shot down yet, and it's spying on them. I don't know. That's all I can tell you about now. Go check it out. It's probably all over the news, probably. I don't know.
Had never heard of, but it's called The Proud Family. This is the show.
This country was built on slavery, which means slaves built this country. Tilled this land from sea to sea to sea. First there was rice, tobacco, sugar cane. Then Whitney did his thing and Captain became king. And we were its soldiers, 4 million strong, fighting for America's freedoms, even though we remained America's slaves. Built this...
That whole thing didn't make sense to me. If you 4 million strong army, but you couldn't fight for freedom. Well... I've got to work that one out.
Country, the descendants of slaves continue to build this. Slaves built this country. And we, the descendants of slaves in America, have earned reparations for their suffering and continue to...
We, the descendants, had no part to play in that whatsoever. We deserve reparations because our ancestors were treated. Does that mean everybody's then? Because, like, I mean, this... We can do an episode of where the word slave comes from. It's not Africa or America or anything like that. That's I can show you. It's like, are you the only ones were held in slaves? And majority of these kids on here that, you know, are supposed to represent children in America, didn't even come from Europe. Didn't even come from slave backgrounds. We know this. Or at least we believe we know this. I mean, it would make sense as well. Everybody's been migrating there for years and more over the last few centuries, I'm sure. And slavery ended in America about 100 years ago. Now, slavery is still around today. I understand this in many different forms, but the more you look into how our system is set up and things like that, slavery is rife everywhere. I mean, they enslave your mind and in fiction. This is still going on today. You only hear one group of people, well, I do anyway, I only hear one group of people still talking about it constantly, all the time. Like, you're not allowed to forget this. It's like, we all want to forget. All of us. These individuals swear they were the only ones ever enslaved. And the whole world's never experienced it. Or as they call it, the white man has never experienced... Wait till we do the episode on where slavery comes from. That's all I got to tell you. And if you watch that one, if you're not shocked, you probably won't be shocked. But, you know, for these individuals, they'd be very shocked. And this is being portrayed to your children. I don't know why this is being allowed. But then again, there's lots of things, not just this, that are, you know, put in front of your children that have nothing to do with slavery, have to do with other issues. So, you know, if you didn't have a problem with those things, why are you having a problem with this thing, fellas?
To earn reparations every moment we spent submerged in the systemic prejudice, racism, and white supremacy that America was founded with instead.
What on earth is white supremacy? What on earth is that? I don't have to put it. What? I gotta understand these things, guys. I need to understand what these things are. What is white supremacy? Does she understand that slavery originated from what they refer to as whites? I mean, I don't get it. I really don't understand how this is not taught to them. This isn't. I really worry about education. Really do. Well, it's not education anymore. It's indoctrination.
Has not atoned for. Slaves built this country. Not only field hands, but carpenters, masons, blacksmiths, musicians, inventors built set.
Right. Let's talk about this. They're conflating two different things. I mean, first of all, these carpenters and everything. They weren't slaves. You know, these magicians and everything. They weren't allowed to have these kind of jobs. They were just a labor force, right? Slaves are just a labor force, and you're allowing movies and stories to warp your perception of this. I mean, slavery's been around for God knows how long. It's still around today, believe it or not. They're fighting to get rid of it in certain places, but like, it's like, do I agree with slavery? I have some strange thoughts on slavery, like how it's supposed to have been done, but like not to the extent that you see in movies and things like the Django and movies like this. I mean, were there areas in America that treated slaves this poorly and this bad? Possibly, especially in the South. I've been told lots of democratic South, how do you say in America, states did this kind of thing. But didn't they have a war where, like, I don't know, millions of what you call white people died to free slaves? Isn't that reparations? That would have been reparations enough for me to be freed from this torture that we was in, if that was the case. I'm not from America. I'm not American. My ancestors were all slaves. Most people's ancestors were slaves. It's where we've come now and where we are now. There's no slavery. But it's like they won't let you forget. You can't forget it. But isn't that what we're supposed to do? Take the lessons, forget them, move on. But they'll find anything to link back to there. I say they because I'm not just talking about those with black melanin. I'm talking about all those with this mentality. Maybe I'm wrong. I'm happy to be wrong. Explain it. Say, Carl, this is where you're incorrect, and I'll learn. I'm not here to make statements. I'm just asking questions and telling you how I see the world. I could have been miseducated.
And he's from Jamestown to New Orleans to Banneker, Washington. And we demand our 40 acres and a mule. About that! You can keep the mule. Keep the 40. We're taking our freedom.
Now, are they clapping for the message, or because, a bunch of kids got up and did a poem about something they think they believe in? I don't know. But, for children, not too sure. It's giving an ideology of something that didn't happen, and to children. And I don't know, things like this I don't like. I don't like because children see this as play and a form of education, no matter how much we try to say it's not. That's how they see it. So I think, I don't know.
So at first, as I'm watching it, I was waiting for the punchline because it's so over the top. It's this stupid slam poetry. It's making a historical point that's just not true.
Agreed.
Obviously, slaves contributed to the building of the country.
Agreed.
But to say that slaves built the country, one, is to really overstate the prevalence of slavery in the
Also agreed.
United States compared to everywhere else in the world. Compared to everywhere else in the world, especially outside the West, slavery existed in this country for a very, very short period of time. And people were always uncomfortable with it.
I don't know that stuff, but I have been told it many times.
And it was being phased out from the nation post-revolution's earliest days. But two, it also ignores the significance of ideas in human nature and in human progress and in history. Because the slaves did a lot of physical work. Not denying that the slaves did a lot of physical labor. But
I thought that was the idea of slavery, wasn't it? To get them to do the physical labor. I mean, the way I look at it, none of this, by the way, is correct. I'm just saying. I'll give you a good example. I don't know if this is also true, but it's reported and told to us as we've grown up that once upon a time here in Wales, the Merthyr Valleys especially, was covered in tin sheds where families of up to 6 could be living in. They used to have to give their children apple cider in the morning because it was the only thing, water wasn't good. It was the only thing that they knew was sterile. These little boys, as well as men, had to go down mines just to work to get a tiny bit of money to survive. Because we didn't have slave owners looking after us and taking responsibility of us, putting roof over our heads and food in our mouths, clothes on our back. We had to do that all ourselves and still treated like slaves for years and years and years. And this was rife all over the world almost. Still is today. And now you look at your life and you think, thank God that kind of slavery isn't there anymore. Obviously, a lot worse than the slavery that goes on today. And I mean modern day slavery. Because slavery, all slavery's done is evolve. Still around today. You still have to work 9 to 5, 60 years, follow all the rules. Otherwise, what happens? They take your money, they take your possessions, they put you in jail. This is all slavery. It doesn't matter if you see it as a civilization. It's just another way of slavery. You don't have the freedoms to speak or think nowadays. If a police officer comes up to me, and that's what they call police officers now, there's no more policemen and women, police officers who do everything to abide by policy, they come up to me, I've got to abide by what they say, otherwise I could end up in real big trouble, like a slave would. I haven't got that freedoms. Well, I keep saying now that I haven't. That's the way they want me to think anyway. I've got a way to talk around most of that, and I get a lot more freedoms than most others, mainly because I just don't understand this world that you guys live in, the world you've created. Now, let's let Michael talk a little bit more here.
The slaves very rarely did or had the opportunity to contribute the ideas that craft the country. Slaves didn't write the Constitution. Slaves didn't write...
That's what I mean. If you were slaves, you did not build the country. You were the labor force that built the country. Labor doesn't build a country alone. But they're teaching children at this. How is this critical thinking? Who on earth is thinking that all you have to do is put bricks together or get the cotton candy from the... Cotton candy? God, it makes me worried that I do like cotton candy, though. But work in the cotton fields and things like that. I mean, this is just a labour force. This labour force is here today. It's like saying slaves built Microsoft, not the minds of Bill did. I wouldn't say Bill Gates did it. I've heard some stories on that. But I'm maybe finding some bad examples here, but hopefully people know what I'm talking about. I'm not saying any of this is true, right, wrong, or anything, guys. I'm just telling you what I'm seeing, how my mind thinks. I can be corrected. I'm happy to be corrected. And as for morals, my morals stick with what's healthy or not. And of course, I don't believe slaves are healthy. However, there is, like I said, an episode I'm going to do on slavery that only tackles slavery, not just American slavery, all kinds of slavery, and what their purposes were in the past and why we used them. Still not going to say it's a moral thing. I don't believe that at all. It's really poor for health, and there's always a better way. But people are lazy. They just do it the shortest, easiest way they can. The one's going to cost them a limited amount of money, I suppose. And in there is slavery on itself, isn't it? To be slave to the money.
Right, the Federalist Papers. Slaves didn't establish the House of Burgesses. Slaves didn't do any of those things. I'm not saying it's the slaves' fault. The slaves were slaves, so they didn't have much of an opportunity to do it. But obviously, history is propelled in part by physical actions and labor.
The other thing is, you talk about slaves being able to write poetry and songs and do. I mean, who taught them this stuff? Where did they get the education from this from? If they were brought over, as I've been told, from Africa on slave ships and couldn't even speak the language, very limited skills. That's why they didn't keep them in for those. My understanding, could be wrong, is that there was many wars going on. Tribes took each other as slaves, and instead of killing them, the Americans or the British, probably then, I'm not sure, decided to ask them if they could purchase them to take them to their country to help build the country. And that's all it is. Slaves helped build the country. Down with that. I'm on your side. I'm on your side. If you're saying slaves helped build this country, I'll be like, yes, of course did. Agreed. But it's not. You see what I mean? You're polarizing again. You're saying, no, we did it. And they're saying, no, you didn't. We did it. And I'm saying, how about you both go, we all built it. Just probably some really immoral circumstances back then. Not probably was. But it's not that way today. Still slavery, but not in the same way.
And just kind of regular till the fields kind of labor, then by physical actions that are inspired by ideas, and then by ideas themselves. I mean, the pen is mightier than the sword in many ways. So the historical idea, preposterous. And then the slam poetry angle, so absurd. Such a caricature. But then I said, okay, well, you know what it's going to be? It's going to be at the end of the video. They're going to get done with this stupid performance, and then the audience is just going to be silent. Like, what? Huh? Oh, this is a talent show, guys. Why are you... Then what happens? No, there's a standing ovation. What's the punchline? The punchline is, listen to our frankly Maoist political screed, and then you better stand up and applaud too, kids. That's what Disney's putting out. That's why DW Kids exists. That's why we're doing it. That's what...
DW, I think, is their Daily Wire Kids. I like to be part of Daily Wire Kids, to be honest. I'm trying to do kids books ourselves and try to be part of it. Trying to be part of anything that's going to generate some sort of wealth, not for myself, but for the charity that of my choice to help build schools in Africa. So, I mean, I'm looking forward to seeing what DW Kids is all about.
Why Jeremy is investing $100 million in DW Kids is, and the other entertainment content, so that your kids don't. I cannot subscribe to Disney if that is the kind of crap that my kids are going to see. And then I said, what?
Again, Michael, if that is on Disney, just tell your kids you can't watch that or monitor what your kids are doing. You don't have to scrap all of Disney and all the great ideas through Disney. This is one of those narcissistic things people seem to be doing. Candace Owens doing the same thing with Sam Smith. Yes, his new song, as she calls it, diabolical. I mean, I'm not in agreement to it. I think it's a little bit... But, as long as it's within a certain age bracket... God, calm down. As long as it's in a certain age bracket, I don't mind. But then, the powers that be, YouTube, have decided, no, little kids can watch this stuff as well. So, even then, your beef is not with... he's got it right here. He's not blaming the writer. He's saying Disney has allowed this. And yet, his work colleague, is blaming the writer and artist rather than the person who's allowing this to happen. So if you're cancelling Disney, but you don't agree with the Sam Smith thing, shouldn't you be cancelling YouTube at the same time? But no, they won't do that because that's making them money. So they'll agree with the things that are making them money, but they won't agree with the things that are not making them money. They'll cancel those. Do you see the hypocrisy here? It's really strange. I'd really like for them to really explain this.
What is this cartoon? It's called The Proud Family. I thought, of course it is. Because all this stuff always comes back to some deadly sin.
Well, that's a good picture to leave with Michael, isn't it? Sorry, Mike. Right, so I'm going to leave it there, guys, right? Nice little one from Micheal Knowles. I can say that, yeah, if I would not allow my kids to watch this. I say kids, really, my children, offspring, whatever you want, but like, I wouldn't allow them to watch this. If I saw that was, I'd be like, nope, that's off, done. But that would be the one. I would just put a red flag on it for my kids. Don't watch that. And because I monitor my children and I look after them correctly, I would just say they just wouldn't watch that and any program like that. And I wouldn't allow them to watch anything I hadn't vetted. I don't get me wrong. I grew up. My mum didn't vet the stuff I watched. But I will. I'll vet the stuff my children watch. And quite frankly, I wouldn't allow them to watch this, so I'm in agreement. But I wouldn't cancel all of Disney for it. There's some great things on Disney, you know, just watch them with my son. And say, look, buddy, this is what this is trying to say, and this is what Pinocchio and things like that. It's wonderful shows, you know, if you know how to watch it correctly and the messages behind it. Right, Wirgo, what is? Hope you enjoyed that one. Let me know what you think in the comments below. That's the part I'm really interested in. And until next time, harmony.